What's up guys, it's Kadaddle, and in today's video we're going to be comparing the weapons from the leaked Halo 3 Pimps at Sea alpha build to the current Halo 3 MCC version, just to see how Halo 3 has evolved over the years from alpha to where it currently stands. And you might be asking, what is the Pimps at Sea build? Well, around November 30th, 2006, an IGN employee stumbled upon a handful of users playing the Pimps at Sea alpha on Xbox Live. Pimps at Sea was actually a code name for the Halo 3 alpha, so people wouldn't know that they were testing the game over Xbox Live servers. The version of the alpha we'll be looking at today is from November 17th, 2006, so it's very likely that this is the same build that the IGN employees saw the users playing on Xbox Live. If you're interested in seeing more than just the weapons in this video, I'll be posting a VOD from my Twitch in the description where I did a live playthrough going over the entire Pimps at Sea build from top to bottom. I also plan on making more comparison videos for this series, so stay tuned for that. So the first weapon we're going to be starting with here is the battle rifle, and right away you can tell the view model that they used is actually the same view model as Halo 2, which is also the case with many weapons in this build, as there is a lot of Halo 2 left over in this build. They basically fire the exact same, around the same fire rate and everything. The animation for the reload on the alpha, I believe, is actually using the Halo 2 reload animation. Moving forward here, we have the Covenant Carbine. As you can see, the Carbine is actually using the Halo 2 model. I'm not sure if it's the exact Halo 2 model, but it's very, very similar to the Halo 2 model. They also shoot pretty much the same, with the newer Carbine having more visual recoil on the screen. But other than that, they're relatively the same. Next weapon we have here is the SMG, and as you can tell, it looks nearly identical to the Halo 2 SMG. Not just the model, but the view model itself almost looks one-to-one with Halo 2. It also sounds like the SMG is shooting a lot faster. The melee animations are nearly identical as well. Moving on, we have the sniper rifle. The sniper rifle looks relatively finished here. As you can see, the green screen on the scope actually doesn't act as a thermal like it does in the final release. It's just kind of just a green screen. Shooting, they basically shoot the exact same. However, the alpha version does have a little bit of recoil, which they ended up getting rid of before the final release. Melee animations again, nearly identical here. Moving on, we have the shotgun, which in my opinion is probably the most finished weapon in this build. It looks nearly identical to its final release, and shoots and sounds basically the same as well. Reload animation, shooting animation, all look very similar. I believe the alpha version of the shotgun here is actually using the Halo 2 animations, with the recoil animation and the pump animation. I believe that's all the same from Halo 2. But other than that, the shotgun is basically pretty much the same in the alpha and the final release. You can also see the melee animations are generally the same as well. Moving on, now we have the Spiker, which is actually called the Spike Rifle in this build. The Spiker is also pretty much finished in this build. It's generally the same. It's got basically the same fire rate, the same visual model, everything looks the same pretty much. Sounds the same as well. Except the reload. That's actually the reload sound from the Halo 2 Magnum. And I believe it may actually be the Halo 2 Magnum reload animation as well. Moving forward here, we have the Brute Shot, and as you can tell, the Brute Shot is very unfinished. I think that's using the Halo 2 model, I'm not exactly sure, but it's this chromed out, untextured model. And it actually performs very differently from the one in final release too. It's got a much slower fire rate. You can already see in the final version I've reloaded before the alpha version could even finish shooting. A much slower fire rate in the alpha version. the melee animation looks a little rougher in the alpha version. Moving on here, we have the energy sword, and as you can see, the energy sword actually has the Halo 2 view model, with the sword angled downwards instead of at an upward angle like the Halo 3 final version. And it also doesn't have the full lunge effect. It just has the melee swing instead of the right trigger. When you press the right trigger on the Halo 3 one, it does a full lunge swing instead of just a regular melee swing, which is not present in the alpha version. Moving on here, we have the Needler, which you can tell it has shorter needles than in the final release. Looks like they decided to make the needles a little more prominent. What's interesting here is it actually performs like the Halo 1 Needler, where it starts off with a slower fire rate and gets faster as it progresses through the clip. Melee animations generally look the same for the Needler. So moving forward here, we have the plasma pistol. The plasma pistol in the alpha version is actually using the Halo 2 model of the plasma pistol. I guess the final version just wasn't finished yet or wasn't ready to be put into this build, but it's the Halo 2 model. They both perform generally around the same. It actually has the effect in this game where if you hold down the trigger, it actually loses ammo, unlike Halo 2. Here we have the rocket launcher, and as you can tell, it's a very rough, unfinished rocket launcher. I believe it actually may be the Halo 2 model, untextured. It's very, very rough, and it's actually got the Halo 2 sounds to go with it. So it's as if they just ported it straight over from Halo 2, and some of the textures just got messed up. I'm not very sure, but it is basically just one-to-one with the Halo 2 rocket launcher. The melees also look generally the same. Moving forward here, we actually have the bubble shield, and this looks very, very, very rough compared to the final version we see here. It's basically just got a yellow mist around a power drain ball, but in the final version it's more of a hexagon bubble-like texture instead of a mist around the piece of equipment. Next we have the assault rifle, and one of my favorite features about the alpha assault rifle is how similar it looks to the Halo CE assault rifle, with how slim it is and how close to the bottom of the screen it is, compared to the final release where it's more close and bulky and in your face. Shooting the guns is pretty much the same, maybe just the shooting animation itself is a little different, but other than that the weapons handle pretty much the exact same. Reload animation looks pretty similar. I think it may be the reload animation from the Halo 2 battle rifle, as well as the melee animations here. Here we have the Spartan Laser. The Spartan Laser is relatively the same, aside from the sound it makes when it fires. Got more of a futuristic laser sound. One thing to note about the Spartan Laser is you actually cannot melee with it due to the fact that it acts like a heavy weapon, sort of similar to the Missile Pod we have here, where you pick it up and you can still hold your primary and secondary weapon. But this here is the Missile Pod, and it's a very unfinished state of the Missile Pod, and it's not third person like the final version. But yeah, this here is the Missile Pod. Very, very different from the version we got in the final release. Moving on to Snowbound here, we have the beam rifle, and the beam rifle looks generally finished aside from the plasma running through the inside is actually white instead of purple. Maybe it's just untextured, unfinished, I'm not very sure, but aside from that, the beam rifle is basically the exact same. The version we got in the final release has a lot more visual recoil when you shoot. And you can see the cooldown animation's pretty much the same there. And like the sniper rifle, the beam rifle also has recoil in the alpha when you shoot it. The melee animations generally look the same here. Moving on to the plasma rifle, as you can see the alpha version has this unfinished, slimy looking texture to it. And it also kind of looks like the Halo 2 model. I'm not exactly sure if it's the Halo 2 model, but it looks very, very similar to the Halo 2 model. They both handle pretty much the same there, but on the alpha version you can see the lights on the side actually don't light up. But other than that, the plasma rifle is pretty much the same in the alpha as it is in the final release, aside from looking unfinished and slimy. Up next we have the power drain here, and it's roughly the same, however it's just missing some effects with the blue mist around it. And it also lasts about 3 to 4 times as long as the one we got in the final release. Next here we have the turret, the detachable turret. It's actually not detachable in the alpha version. It's actually just a copy and paste of the Halo 2 turret, even down to the sounds it makes. So yeah, that was every single weapon in the Halo 3 Alpha version. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Next, I will be making a map comparison video where I just go over the comparisons of the maps themselves rather than the weapons. So stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.